Hello, 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 and welcome back. Don Wise's Motor here, and here we are. We're out in the not so great weather, testing the Weise Dune suit, new for the 2023-2024 season. So let's have a look and see how it fares in the wet, shall we? Right then, so we're out testing some kit in the wet today from Weise. Now, you may have seen my previous video where I did the sort of summer edition, if you will, of this video, and that was basically you know, this is how it's going to work and perform in the heat and the dry. You know, it is called the Dune after all, so one would assume it's good for arid conditions. And now we're going to see how it fares in the wet. We're going to see what it's like. So hopefully I don't get wet, and I'm fairly confident that I won't. I'll be honest, fairly confident. So yeah, we'll see what happens. Still got my trusty held twin 2 gloves. This is their, I think it's 4th or 5th winter season with me, and I must admit that they have never let me down. They are a phenomenally good glove. They're twin chamber, and they're actually discontinued, so if you manage to find some with your size in, go and buy a pair. They're well worth it. Anywho, Weise. So I've done this summer edition. As you can see, it's nice and wet, so I thought today would be a good day to head on out and yeah, get some miles under the belt in the wet. I've already done a fair few bits of wet riding in this, but I had an issue with GoPro, and I had a Hero 9 Black, and they've got a battery issue. They seem to drain batteries on some of their 9 models, so yeah, I had to send it back, and they give me a 10 instead, so thanks GoPro. And so far the 10 has not drained a single battery, so I'm winning, because I got really annoyed when I went to Motorcycle Live and I went to turn my camera on to start the journey up there, and nothing, dead battery, and I was like, huh, okay. So I thought, yeah, right, get in contact with GoPro, and they said yep, sorted. And so far the 10 seems to be doing really, really well. Anywho, I did have some wet weather miles in the Dune suit. That was up and down to Motorcycle Live back in November. Just prior to that, there was a few nights, obviously we've had quite a bit of hot weather, had quite a bit of wet weather. I don't know where I got hot from, although it's strangely not that cold for this time of year, so you know, I will happily take that. So I did actually get some wet weather miles in this jacket and trousers, and the trousers have been fine, but my first jacket I had to send back because the waterproof drop liner failed, and after some investigation they said, yeah, no, the drop liner is faulty. It's not a problem with the product per se, it's just that, you know, sometimes we get products that are faulty that come out of manufacturing. That's the same across every single kind of manufacturing globally. If they involve themselves in, you know, mass production, obviously every single garment doesn't get tested. That's not how mass production works. But yes, so they sent me a new jacket out with a new liner after investigating the old jacket, and oddly enough, the original jacket I had was a large, this one's an extra large. So one would assume that because the Weise Dune with the liners in is quite a snug fit, and to say that, you know, I'm a 36-inch waist, but in the Dune trousers I needed a 3XL or a 2XL, one of the two, when normally I'm a large. Like, I had to go, you know, 2 to 3 sizes bigger in the trousers around the waist. Not only that, but the jacket they sent me back out was an extra large. So given the fact that, you know, we're in winter now, so we're going to layer up things like that to keep ourselves nice and warm, and, you know, because thermal liners, they do their job well, but they're only as good as their thermal capabilities, and not all thermal liners are built equal, so some are better than others. And one thing I did notice in particular with the thermal liner in this jacket is because it's zipped in sort of around about here and around about here, and then the middle of the jacket is just sort of around the zip where the storm flap is. That's basically just the windproof and waterproof drop liner, so there is a gap where heat can escape, and because the exterior of the jacket itself and the trousers, it's not just the jacket, I feel like I'm not being unfair towards just the jacket, but the exterior itself is actually I don't want this one, it's not waterproof in the slightest. So I imagine it would give you some wind protection because it's an added layer, but all of this water you can see sort of settling here is not in any way, shape or form going to help or aid me in staying dry. It's going to absorb some water, and then eventually the water will just seep through it, which is why we've got a drop liner, which is fine. But at the same time, I also look at that and go, what about all the stuff you put in your pockets? Then they're just going to get wet. So that's the way I kind of look at things with that. So I've picked a good day for this. That being said, there are pockets on the inside of the drop liner as well. So yeah, it depends on which way you kind of look at it really. You can either look at it in a sense of, oh, the exterior is not waterproof, or the drop liner is waterproof, so as long as you keep all your stuff, I seem to be hitting every lump in the road, as long as you keep all your stuff in, you know, a location that's waterproof, and most people have a waterproof backpack or something like that. There's not many people I know that like loading up their pockets, mainly because it's really uncomfortable. So that in itself is the opposing argument to that argument I have. Make sure the lens is clean. Anywho, so the first jacket did fail in its waterproof capabilities just from the drop liner. And as we're running on today, it's the 19th of December. We're not exactly experiencing a lot of coldness. We are more experiencing wetness. I did notice at Motorcycle Live that on the way back, when it got dark and wet and horrible, and I think that may be a contributing factor, may be that I was tired, because obviously I went to Motorcycle Live and back in one day, from the southeast coast to Birmingham and back, plus a full show. Like, yeah, okay, it's not the longest day in the world, but it's also not the shortest, and it was a good day. I enjoyed it. That's, you know, quite potentially the reason for sizing up is also to allow for the liners to be adequately snug, and potentially, you know, the reason I've been sent an extra large jacket is because with the liners in, I might be a little bit too snug, and taking the jacket on and off, like if you commute on the bike like I do, then taking it on and off all the time is going to increase wear. Of course it is. So there's that there, but it's okay. I've got a new one. I'm still very impressed with the Dune suit as it is. It does really well with what it's supposed to do. I've certainly got no complaints, other than if it was a little bit colder today and I wanted to wear, you know, an extra layer, I would feel like a Michelin man. So yeah, it's quite snug. And if I feel like a bit of a Michelin man, like a bit, it's a bit, you feel a bit bulbous and a bit meh. So just a thought to be wary of in that sense is, you know, size it correctly. But I've done quite a few miles in the wet now. What's going on there? Flashy, flashy. Let's use water. Oh, okay. We'll go down to Ripe. I do like country roads. There's something nice about just meandering through country roads, and my pin lock needs cleaning because this is fogging up already. Whee! Puddles! So, again, price. The jacket's £300 odd, the trousers are £250 odd. So a grand total of £550. And what do you get? You get a very well equipped suit that's got the capability of being waterproof, windproof and thermally insulated for the layering system that it's got. But you've also got this extreme level of ventilation that we saw in the previous video. We have got the waterproof zip pocket at the back of the jacket, which is, as far as I'm aware, has worked. I've not seen any issues with it. It is sealed with a waterproof zip. Gonna test it in the wet. Test it in the wet. Why do I feel like I've just done a loop? So that's why, because I have just done a loop. Oh, look at that, a big puddle again. Whee! I think I might head down to the coast road, you know. Dear heavens, if you wouldn't mind obliging with some heavy rain, I would very much appreciate it. Does that sound fair? National speed limit. Yay! Power! Now this is the kind of weather I like to test kit in for being waterproof. Because this, like a good long ride in this sort of weather, you'll know if it's waterproof. you know. Still good. Still good. So, to summarise, £550 gets you the Weise Dune suit and trousers, both liners, hip, knee, shoulder, back, elbow armour, like full armour. The ventilation system that can only be compared to a wind tunnel, because it is like being in a wind tunnel with this much ventilation on a jacket, and trousers, like, it is phenomenally good. I love the waterproof mat pocket they've got at the back. I love the cargo pockets they've got on the trousers. There's a lot of vents, like these collapsible vents that fold away, we mentioned in my previous video. Again, they've got those on the trousers. You've got a big exhaust vent at the back. You've got a clip that runs from the back of the jacket through your legs to the front to keep the jacket nice and straight. You've got a really cool little feature is the water reservoir pocket on the back, and there's a little hole there and a little retaining clip on the shoulder, so you know, if you are off adventuring, there you go. Coming into winter, it will keep you warm to a degree. Obviously it depends on the riding conditions that you're in. You know, if you're out in -7, then you're going to want some layers and a heated layer, like you're going to want that. If you're out in 22 degrees, you're probably going to want to take the thermal liner out, and maybe even the waterproof drop liner, because they're windproof and thermal, and they tend to, you know, keep quite a lot of that stuff in. So, oh, puddles, lots of puddles. Woo, puddles! So, moving on. During the wet, it will afford you for £550. It will get you 2 to 3 hours, maybe a little bit more, depending on the level of rain, the grade of rain. I.e., if you're out and about in wet weather and it is hammering down, for £550 for a jacket and trousers, I don't think you should expect it to last more than a couple of hours. If it's a sort of a medium sort of grade weather like today, where you've got some heavy showers, lots of road spray, and also like lots of dirt that's, comes along in the water, because all that kind of stuff that gets into the membranes, once that's in the membranes, you need to give the membranes a clean to allow them to actually, and a dry, to allow them to do their job properly. Oh, but I'm not going to lie, I just rode through what was a veritable ford in the middle of a road where it shouldn't be, so I don't expect it to stop water coming in. Anyway, but for £550, it will keep you warm, it will keep you dry. I've been out for 3 and a bit hours now. It's about time to head home. I can't see anything. Hey? Ah. And around the bottom here, look, you can see some water and grass there too. Yeah. So there you have it, guys. I'm going to get changed and we're going to have a recap. See you in a bit. Hello, I'm now back and showered off. For clarity, I am filming this on January the 5th. The original footage was shot on December 19th last year, but due to the Christmas period and my day job, I've had a little bit of time to sort other things out, so this had to sort of go on the back burner a bit, but now we're back and we're going to take a look at the Weise Dunes wet weather suit. So as you saw from the video, throughout the video I was out in some pretty hairy conditions, lots and lots and lots of water, sort of in the form of not only rain but spray from other vehicles, carrying a lot of dirt, debris, things like that, and also riding through a what apparently was now a ford that shouldn't have been there. So that's how you test wet weather kit, in my opinion, and I'm very happy to say that for the 2 to 3, maybe just over 3 hours that I was out, the Weise Dune suit lasted brilliantly. I got a little bit of water ingress around the cuffs, which you can expect. After that sort of amount of time out, you would expect to start the outer edges of the garment to start maybe letting some water in, only because the waterproof drop liners, they only come down so far, and this outer layer isn't exactly waterproof. It'll absorb some water, but after that it is going to start finding its way in. There was a small amount of ingress up here, which again is somewhere you can expect to find it, just on the base of the belly, as you saw in the video. And my my little spare wheel here, I say little. So again, I did fully expect that to kind of happen, only because of the weather we were in, the amount of time I was out. At some point or another, water's going to find its way in. Again, due to being sat on a saddle for that amount of time, you are ending up sitting in a puddle of water. So eventually water found its way in, which again, after riding through that large puddle / ford, I wasn't surprised to see that water had found its way in, and I had a little bit of a wet patch in the crutch. Again, if you look at the video, all of these things are really, really minor. They're not massive things. And after 2 to 3 hours riding, you've been kept out of trouble, you've been kept warm, you've been kept as dry as possible. So in my opinion, for its price point in the market, at £300 for the jacket and £250 for the trousers, the Weise Dune has done its job incredibly well. It's incredibly well spec'd. I've already done a summer version of this video, which is in the in the description of this video in the link. Follow that link, you'll see the summer version, but it's a winner from me, guys. I'm happily using this suit currently every day, including in the wet weather we've had over the past sort of few days into the new year, and it hasn't faltered. The only thing I will say is that sizing is a little bit off. I'm a 36-inch waist, but the trousers, I had to get a 3XL. And the jacket, the waterproof drop liner in the large that I got did fail, probably due to the fact that these liners are very, very snug. So it was catching on the inside of the jacket, it was stressing the seams, and they were starting to prise apart, which was allowing water in. So always make sure you're trying on the kit, and maybe just bear in mind for thought, size up a little bit and you'll be a hell of a lot more comfortable. That's it from me, guys. I can't say how impressed I am with this suit enough, especially for the amount of money it costs. It's a far cheaper option and will keep you out of danger for a lot longer than anticipated. It's phenomenally good value for money. It's stacked full of features, including these panels that fold away in the hot weather, fully removable thermal and waterproof drop liners, and it is also AA rated. So it is extremely good value for money. You do get slacks that come with it as well. It's got 5-piece armor, back, shoulders, elbows, hips, and knees. So you are fully catered for in any sense. Lots of adjustments and lots of flexibility. Right then, guys, that's all for me. Link to the suit is on Weise's website. You follow that below. Go and check it out. It's well worth it. But for me, for now, I'm signing off. Take it easy.